Hey, peace, everybody, and welcome back to the Black Only News and Entertainment Network. The person you see on the screen there, that's Chris Christie. Chris Christie is the former governor of New Jersey. He is also a big-time Trump supporter and a friend, a close friend of Donald Trump. Now, Chris Christie has voted twice for Donald Trump, but Chris Christie knows that Trump lost this election and has advised him to go ahead on and start the transition. But of course, Trump, being the idiot that he is, he's refusing to do so. Now we all know that Trump has all these lawsuits going, claiming fraud, but of course that's a lie as well. And Chris Christie is going to explain the lie here in this clip that I'm going to show you. So let's get the fuck into it.
Speech on early Wednesday morning, the day after the election, you said it's incumbent on him to come forward with the evidence. There have now been 34 court cases the president has lost. We saw Pennsylvania last night. We saw Pat Toomey, the senator from Pennsylvania, say it's time for the president to enable this transition. It's time for the president to concede. The president's response was to attack Pat Toomey on Twitter. Is it finally time for this to end?
Yes. And here's the reason why. The president has had an opportunity to access the courts. And I said to you, George, starting at 2:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning, if you've got the evidence of fraud, present it. And what's happened here is, quite frankly, the conduct of the president's legal team has been a national embarrassment. Sidney Powell accusing Governor Brian Kemp of a crime on television, yet being unwilling to go on TV and defend and lay out the evidence that she supposedly has. This is outrageous conduct by any lawyer. And notice, George, they won't do it inside the courtroom. They allege fraud outside the courtroom, but when they go inside the courtroom, they don't plead fraud and they don't argue fraud. This is what I was concerned about at 2:30 in the morning on Wednesday night. Listen, I've been a supporter of the president's. I voted for him twice. But elections have consequences, and we cannot continue to act as if something happened here that didn't happen. You have an obligation to present the evidence. The evidence has not been presented, and you must conclude, as Tucker Carlson even concluded the other night, that if you're unwilling to come forward and present the evidence, it must mean the evidence doesn't exist. That's what I was concerned about starting on election night, and I remain concerned today. I think it's wrong. I think what you've heard lots of Republicans starting to say this. I said it on election night, and I hope more say it going forward, because the country is what has to matter.
Yes, and of course this is Angryman. And Angryman is angry because his white zaddy, Donald Trump, he feels is being cheated out of this election, which of course he isn't. But you can't tell Angryman that. Anyway, before I end this, I just wanted to illustrate something here on this picture. You notice how Angryman has his arms up like he does and the way his mouth is positioned? Look over in the bottom right-hand corner. You see King Kong over there? It kind of reminded me of the way Angryman is looking right now. What did Grandmaster Cho say? King Kong simping? Well, Angryman is King Kong simping for Donald Trump, his white zaddy.
That morning and decided, you know what? We're all going to do the same exact thing that's against the law. How do you explain that? That sounds like a coordinated effort. How do you explain that the American population is about 300 million people. It's about 300 million people. Of the 300 million people, about 80 to 100 million of the 300 million are below the age of 18. So you have 200 million people that are old enough to vote. Doesn't mean they're registered. 200 million people are old enough to vote. Of the 200 million people, you had 150 some million people vote collectively. Because Donald Trump has 70 some million votes. Joe Biden has 80 million votes. So you had 150 million out of 200 million voters. 200 million people are old enough to vote. You had 150 some million people vote. This doesn't account for felons who can't vote. This doesn't account for people who are in prison. This doesn't account for people who are in mental institutions, even though you did have, I think the number was 70,000 or something like that, 60, something like that. You had thousands of people who voted who were in mental institutions.